Okay, hey guys, looking at our next project here for restoration. We've got the second of the pair of NES controllers. You can see this one, pretty dingy. My camera doesn't pick it up very well, but this is pretty yellow. The back actually isn't as bad as the last one. It's got a lot of scratches again, I'm not sure why, but it's real dirty. And then the top cover here is actually pretty grungy and discolored as well. I did want to just try and do a keyboard, and I didn't actually have a regular computer keyboard, but I had this old Dreamcast keyboard I bought to play the Typing of the Dead with, and you can see it's got the original box, which is pretty cool. It's a little dusty from being in my basement, but if we open it up here, you can see needs some cleaning work, to say the least. Cord looks to be in good shape. This one actually isn't too bad. I don't think it'll actually need any retrobrite, but definitely needs a nice deep clean. And I'd like to take it apart and just check out the inside, and then this will be one that hopefully we might be able to get a test run. Actually, I'm just looking at it now here. The top looks like it might be a little yellow compared to the bottom here, so we might end up doing some retrobrite. We'll see. Okay, so as an example here, I've got the controller I did last week. Here is the sister controller. Kind of compare the two. You can see just how dirty and nasty this one is compared to this one, and the color difference pretty stark between the two. Again, the camera really doesn't do it quite justice, but definitely going to need some retrobrite work on this. And you can even see the cord is pretty dirty, so we're going to clean that up too. And of course we got the Dreamcast keyboard here. We're going to get some nice cleaning work done there too. So last time I didn't really get much for process video. This time around I'm going to try and get some video of actually scrubbing and cleaning these up, and then the whole retrobrite mixing and things like that. But you can see these screw holes here are kind of filled with gunk. So I'm just going to use this little jeweler screwdriver. You got 6 screws to take out here, 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 and here. It should go right through the gunk, and then we'll clean off the top of the screw head and get this one disassembled and ready to go. So I wanted to point out something interesting on this controller. If you remember from the last one I did, these wires over here were organized really neatly, so everything flowed kind of in straight lines back to the bundle cord. This one, on the other hand, it's kind of like kind of an, I don't know if it's like supposed to be some sort of an artistic way of doing it, but just kind of neat how these are assembled. Again, it's got the NEC Japan microchip there, microcontroller. This must be some sort of a manufacturer stamp. And it looks like these were probably made by hand originally when they produced. I mean, I just can't imagine that a machine would have arranged it this way when the last way was so much neater and straighter. So, just interesting. Okay, so here's the inside of the controller. You can see this one's way dirtier than the last one. The button pads here are all pretty nasty and gooey. This one, the board itself actually has had what looks like so much button mashing done to it that these contacts are in pretty rough shape. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this controller to actually work. I don't know if these contacts are going to be okay. I'm not sure. I'm not an electronics expert. Again, this is just a fun project for me. So just interesting here. Thought I'd point that out as a kind of unique. Looks like everything else is in good shape though. But yeah, just a neat little deal. If you ever get a chance to take one of these apart, hopefully yours looks better than this. So I started out by hand scrubbing these with just a little Windex and a paper towel, but these were so grimy that I decided to just let them sit in some rubbing alcohol to break down the gunk a little bit, so it'll be a little easier to work. Two of the screws weren't too bad to clean up. The other ones were pretty nasty. So I'm hoping this loosens it up a little bit, and then it'll be a little easier to clean. In the meantime, I'm going to turn my attention to the rest of the controller here and keep her going. Okay, so here's our buttons and pads cleaned up. Buttons turned out nice. Pads, this is probably about as good as they're going to get. The trouble with these is this rubber is real delicate, and you can see they're all kind of torn already. And this is your button mashing that'll do this. And then the backs of these eventually just break down. I'm hoping this will work without having to do excuse me, some contact cement on it. But contact cement will work to kind of fix this back up so where these are a little stiffer. But hopefully I don't have any of that, so hopefully I don't need to do that. So I'm hoping these will work, but not as clean as I'd like them. But there's just not much more I can do without destroying this rubber. Okay, so here's our bottom cover. This is just after applying Windex to it and doing some scrubbing work and taking a screwdriver to kind of get these screw holes cleaned out with a paper towel wrapped around it. You can see they're not perfect yet. Some of that gunk is really stuck on there, or these crevices are kind of hard to get to. I'm going to give this a quick rinse. I'm going to do the alcohol first and then a quick rinse, but notice there's like this weird little scratch in here. That's not from scrubbing, because I really didn't scrub this interior. That's just from the factory. Not sure exactly if that's just from cable in it, the cable in it rubbing up against it over the years. Just kind of interesting note. But I don't know what was spilled on this. It must have been coffee or something, because it was all black gunk. Just nasty stuff. So the baking soda and alcohol should take the rest off. But yeah, I mean, you can see already there's a huge improvement in color. It's still, pretty yellowed. Once this is cleaned up, the Retro Brite's really going to do some good work here, I think. Okay, we got to the baking soda stage here of this NES controller. I've already done quite a bit of work on this one, but as you can see, it kind of clears off all these surfaces. It's really nice for getting in these little letters that are embossed on the back. I don't really do the inside because that was already pretty clean, but I do these little edges because it kind of grinds out. It's very, very mild abrasive, grinds out all that leftover gunk, and this one actually had a little bit stuck in there that I had to work out with a screwdriver, especially in this little notch here. But it's coming out pretty nice. This one will get rinsed up pretty soon, and we can probably get it moved over to Retro Brite today. Okay, here's the front of the controller. This one's a little trickier to use the baking soda on because obviously we don't want to damage this nice decal work here. You can see it's a little shiny from over the years of button mashing, but some of these nooks and crannies are just a little tough to get into. These buttons were really gross. I think this is about as good as it's going to get, just because I think some of the contact has actually stained the plastic. But hopefully the Retro Brite process will help to clear the rest up. Okay, so again, trying to capture more of my process here for those who are interested. So got these all cleaned up about as best as they're going to get. Now for Retro Briting, I use just the off-the-shelf hydrogen peroxide 3%. This just happens to be the container that these fit in really nice and is all clear, so it traps the heat from the sun and the heat from the water. So I just take a teapot and warm it up, not to boiling, but warm enough to where the outside of the teapot is hot to the touch, where you wouldn't want to hold it with your bare hand for very long. And then pour the hot water in here, and then a good amount of the peroxide, and then I just put cling wrap over the top, set it in the sun, and for an NES controller like this, it seems to take about 2 hours to come out just right. And you can tell already. I mean, these are quite a bit cleaner than they were, but they're definitely yellowed. So we'll see what the end product looks like. Okay, so I didn't have the best sunlight today because it's been a little bit cloudy, But I think, based on what we see here, I think our Retro Bright still came out okay. I can see that there's still a little bit of yellow on the sides, so I'm going to give this a little more time, and maybe just move things around a little bit to try and get a little bit different exposure here. But looking good so far. Pretty happy with the product. Okay, so a little delayed on the NES controller project. Got to Retro Bright that one again because just didn't have enough sunlight the other day. Unfortunately, today we've got some pretty nasty storms coming through, and looks like it's going to storm for about the rest of the week. So thought I'd get started cleaning up this Dreamcast keyboard here. So you can see somebody at some point spilled some nasty stuff on it. It's got hair and just sticky gunk on it. But this is a branded original Dreamcast keyboard here. Kind of excited to get into this one and see what the inside looks like. Hopefully it doesn't need a ton of cleaning. Also going to clean up the cord. It looks like somebody put some tape on this for some reason, but I don't know if maybe this is part of the original packaging that they just never peeled off, but I'm going to get that off of there because it doesn't look to be serving any protective purpose. Okay, I've got the keys removed from this Dreamcast keyboard here. You can see it's pretty gross underneath here. There's some spilled stuff, lots of fuzz bunnies. I actually pulled quite a few out with the keys, but pretty nasty. I don't know what got spilled on this. It's hard to say, some soup or something maybe. I took some alcohol and cleaned up the top row here. Looks like it's going to clean up just fine. I think the color's right based on what I see beneath the keys compared to the rest of the case. So I did pull the screws out to do some retro brighting here, but I don't think this really comes apart very easy, or at least I can't figure it out because the case should just sort of separate, and it's not. But luckily, I don't think we have to do any retro brighting. I think this should clean up just fine with regular elbow grease. Okay, here are the Dreamcast keys. I took these out and soaked them in some soapy water. You can see they're still a little wet, but they look really good. Actually, I think they came out pretty clean. Again, I think the color is pretty good. I don't see a whole lot of difference inside to outside, so I don't think we'll have to retro bright this. The spacebar maybe has a little tint of yellow to it, but it's pretty minor. I can't even hardly tell. And here's the NES controller. I had to do a second retro bright treatment on it, but as you can see, came out pretty nice. Definitely look along the edge. It looks to be pretty well the same color now, so I think that was pretty successful. I did actually run out of peroxide after the second treatment, but went out and got some more. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm not going to need it, but I guess if we do another project, we'll have plenty of peroxide. Okay, we're looking at the finished NES controller here. You can see there's actually a little bit of gunk on there that just never came off. I don't know if that was just worn away there or what the case may be. You can see from the glossiness of this finish that this controller's been well loved. The backside here, pretty scratched up, but a lot smoother now. And then here's the first controller, so you can kind of compare the retro bright here between the two. Pretty much the same, so came out really nice. Looking, from a distance, casually, like almost brand new controllers. So pretty neat. I pulled all the keys off. I was getting started on wiping down the keypad here, and I was getting a little frustrated because it was hard to get in these nooks and crannies. So I just tried working at this again to get it split apart, and found out that it's just some little catches here that actually hold this clamshell together. So once I get it open, as you can see, it's kind of a neat little construction here. So you've got this little rubber mat, and then beneath that is all your contact pathways. Pretty cool design, actually. And then it's just got the little board up here can see it's made in '99. That's kind of cool. Caps look good. Interestingly enough, they just knotted this cable up here to hold it in place, which is good because even though it's slotted here to stick into this or there, gives it a little extra slack so that it's never going to pull too hard on this board. So just pretty cool, and it's going to make it a lot easier to clean now. Okay, and here's the final product of the Dreamcast keyboard. Cleaned up really nice. Buttons all feel nice. Looks like everything went back together really swell. Cool. Well, hopefully I'll have some more projects in the future.